So I have a quick question for you. Do you see any similarities between these two? Do you see anything familiar? Anything coincidental? Yeah, they do look the same. That's because Numark decided to recycle a form factor from their sister company Ion to make the Numark Party Mix Pro. Now, the Party Mix Pro is a strange animal. Not only is it pilfering the design from the Ion that's sitting next to it, it is basically Numark recycling to the best of its ability. The Party Mix Pro, as the name states, is a quote-unquote upgrade to the Party Mix. The Party Mix is a MIDI DJ controller that you can buy from Guitar Center, Amazon, and all them for about $80. They essentially took that controller, added a couple of buttons, and slapped it on top of an Ion block rocker, and added some lights that you would find from a speaker from the flea market. But the combination isn't all that bad. It actually does have quite a strong sound to it, being that it's using an 8-inch woofer and a 2.5-inch paper cone tweeter to reproduce its music, whereas this one is also an 8-inch woofer, but it's a little bit less powerful, and it used to use a silk dome tweeter, but as you can see, it's got a piezo replacing it because the original blew out. And as far as this one right here, my personal one, I'm upgrading this to Bluetooth, and I'm actually going to be cutting this out and making this a storage space so I can keep cables in it, a little locking lid. We'll cover that one in another video. But as far as the Numark Party Mix Pro, for what it has, seeing that it's kind of Numark's attempt at slapping a portable DJ solution together, it kind of works. Especially, I mean, I didn't notice how similar and how tall they were until I put them side by side with each other. So let's go over the features. Let's jump cut to the back so we can take a look at the DJ controller on top. There we go. Now we're looking at the controller, and I apologize if you hear any hissing in the background. That's actually my propane heater going because this basement is super chilly right now at this time of year. Anyway, so as you can see, the layout is basically identical to a normal party mix that you would get out of Amazon or whatever, but the only difference being that you can't remove the controller. The controller is integrated with the unit, so there's no popping this out and doing anything with it. It is there to stay, and just like the Gemini Mixer Go, all the controls, there's no way of protecting them. That's the one thing the Philips probably has over both of these, is that you can flip the controller over and then you protect all your knobs and sliders, whereas this thing, it's basically out in the open and anything can happen to them. And so as far as the way the layout is, you got your crossfader here, you have your volume sliders for channel 2 and channel 1, and straight in the middle you have Q gain. So this is the gain for, I believe, the Q, so this would be controlling the headphone volume for your headphones. And then you have Q mix, so this is actually toggling between listening to just the Q or your main mix, so you can you can fade between the two if you're trying to monitor through your headphones. And then you have master gain, which is your master volume for your controller. So this thing's a little bit weird. You have your master gain for your controller and then master gain for the speakers up here. So technically speaking, if you wanted to hook this up to a bigger sound system, you could turn your master gain down for the speakers but leave your gain up and control everything through this unit right here, and which is actually pretty useful if you were going to be using it for that. But this isn't the greatest controller. We'll get back to that in a second. All in all, it's pretty basic. You got your browse knob here, and it's clicky, and it functions as any other browse knob that you've ever seen on any other DJ MIDI controller. Load to deck 1, load to deck 2. You have your EQ knobs here, so you have bass, treble, and gain. I thought this was all three. So you only get bass and treble for EQ, so there's no mid. And then you have your gain here, so you can change the gain on the track, though you could probably remap this in MIDI software to have this be treble, mid, bass. You know, you'd have to relabel them with a dynamo printer or something like that to keep yourself from getting confused, but that's just my OCD kicking in, and we'll just ignore that. Just like the Party Mix DJ controller, this is laid out just the same. So you have your pads right here, which aren't really pads, they're clicky plastic. I thought there were rubber in the picture, but no, these are all clicky plastic. There is no rubber buttons on this whatsoever. And then you have this little button right here, which is the pad mode button. So I couldn't get this to work in DJ, so these are locked into hot cues. But the native iOS software for this does support the pad mode. So theoretically, if you were to use this in Virtual DJ on a PC, or if you were to use it in the iOS app that this recommends, as it says right there, you could toggle between different modes. So it would originally default to Q mode, so these would just trigger your hot cues. If you click pad mode again, it would trigger your loops, and then if you click it again, then you could trigger samples that are loaded from the sampler. As of this recording, I haven't mapped this button, so these are just stuck into hot cues. I'll figure out how to do that later, but as far as that goes, in DJ, these are just hot cues. Then you have your normal sync, cue, play, pause buttons that you would find on your normal transport controls for any other deck that you'd be using. This is your tempo slider, so this controls pitch / tempo. And then we have right here is our jog wheel. So the thing about these jog wheels, not only are they very tiny, they are not touch sensitive at all. Not at all. So basically, as soon as you move this, whatever DJ software you're using will realize that there's some movement going on there, and it'll stop your track. So to keep that from happening, they added a scratch button right here, so you can toggle between scratch mode and then what's it called? Pitch bend mode. So if you put it into pitch bend mode and you just do this, it'd be the same thing as if you were using a more advanced DJ controller, and you would just be touching the side of it, so you could nudge up and nudge down the speed so you can match your BPM, your beats. And as far as some added buttons that are not present on the Party Mix that are on the Party Mix Pro is this Bluetooth button right here. I don't know if the party lights are in the same position, but I believe they both do have a party light button, but this one has multiple modes because the front of the speaker grill, and the 3 lights up front do light up. This is also added. They have a USB charge out. This is only a charge output. It doesn't interface with the controller. This is just a voltage output. So 5 volts, 1 amp to charge your phone or your device. I tried using this with the camera connection kit so I could charge my iPad while playing. Didn't work out well. There's not enough juice there. So this can just charge any random device you plug it into. And then this is your battery power meter that's right here. It tells you what your battery level is when you turn it on. And on the side are all your connections. So you have an aux input. Let's see if this thing wants to focus. So you have an aux input, the link jack is actually an audio out, and then you have your headphone output, which is only a 1/8 inch jack. So there's no 1/4 inch here, just an 1/8 inch jack. And then your microphone input, so you can hook up your microphone to it. Your power switch, and then your mains in. So when you hit the power switch here, as you can see up top, your battery level comes up, and then your power light turns on, letting you know that it's on. Turn that off. And then on the back, what you have is your bass port right here. I'm not sure if it's tuned or not. It does reach pretty low, so I'm assuming that Numark actually custom ordered that part for this and made it sound pretty good. But as far as the controller goes, that's all there is to it. So let's flip her around to the front and see what we got up front. So we're back up on the workbench. As far as weight goes, this thing is the heaviest of the 3. It's probably why it's got that little handle up top and some wheels, but I'm assuming they're using a lead-acid battery in this thing instead of a lithium-ion battery, because this sucker is heavy. So on the front, it's pretty bare bones. You just got your Numark logo. your speaker grill, and then those 3 globes that are actually RGB LEDs that shine lights everywhere. So if we turn this on, and then if you click your party light button, this thing lights up like a Christmas tree. And these lights are bright. Like, you don't really need to bring in any, I mean, not that this is professional lighting or anything like that, but you don't really need anything extra when it comes to this thing. It's basically got everything built in. It is lighting everything up here really bright. Here, I'll cut to the lights turned off to show you how bright this all is. So I hope you don't mind the mess. This is just the workbench, and I don't really keep it that tidy down here. But as you can see, it does light everything up pretty brightly. So if you don't want these bright lights turned on all the time, or if you're just tired of those lights getting all crazy, you can actually press and hold the party lights button for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And it shuts off the 3 globes. Now all you're left with is the LED RGB lights on the front of the grill, which actually cycle through different animations as they go along. So the very first animation is actually a spectrum analyzer. Put some music on here. Let's turn it down a little bit. So there's your first animation. It's a spectrum analyzer. It's not exactly accurate. It just kind of flashes all over the place. So it's like maybe 3 frames per second as far as the animation goes. So like I said, it's semi-accurate. Like, your bass does appear at the lower end, and then the mids and highs are just kind of a dice roll. They're just kind of all over the place. Now, if you click the party lights button again, you go through this one, and this one isn't tied to the beat at all. It just kind of cycles through a bunch of colors, just panning from left to right. This one is mostly the same thing. It just has a bunch of random colors. They're not tied to the beat in any way. Same with this one. You just got a bunch of more random colors, but this is just in squares. As far as I know, this isn't tied to any kind of rhythm, beat, or music. This one's got like a Tetris effect thing going on. Maybe they're just falling cubes. Nothing really that exciting. This one, I believe this is a spectrum analyzer as well, but it's only showing the peaks. So the bars that would normally be below them, it's just showing the peaks at different colors. So this one is tied to the speaker, or tied to the sound, I should say, where it's flashing depending on what's going on the music. So this one is tied to beat and sound. This one's just a level meter that's flashing different colors. It's just going up and down according to the volume level. This one kinda is tied to music as well, I believe. Yeah, I think it's flashing to the beat. Though the beat's kind of slow. And maybe it's trying. Same with this one. If you actually shut the music off for this one, it looks like the Windows logo. There we go. You have started up Windows 10. There we go. And then we cycle through. This one's just flashing different colors. Probably tied to the beat as well. Let me just shut off the music real quick. So yep, this one also is tied to the beat, so depending on what you're playing. This one is also doing the same thing. It's got a lot of animations that are tied to the beat. This one definitely is a Tetris effect, except none of the lines are disappearing once you make a full line. This one's not tied to the beat in any way either. This one's just shifting through colors. Now this one is, so this one's probably the same as the level meter that we saw before, but it's going from the inside out. Shut off the music, and it goes silent. If I got the music going again, so you think it's shifting through tracks. Yeah, so it is sound reactive. This one is not. This one just kind of is an animation, and then we got off. So if you're a completely boring person, you could just have this completely off. And then we're back to full blast again with the lights going ham. Alright, let's shut off the music. and shut off these lights because I am a boring person. So we'll just shut this off, and pressing and holding for 6 seconds shuts off all the lights completely. Let's check out the app that's recommended by this by Numark for this and the Party Mix. So the Party Mix Pro and the Party Mix are suggested that you use this app. Let's see what that train wreck is like. Before we start looking at the app that this thing is recommended for, let's talk connectivity options. So in order to connect any device to this to the Party Mix Pro, you need to use a standard USB cable. So it comes with a USB cable that is standard USB-A on one end, and then USB-B, the full size, or is it USB-A? I'd have to look up what the correct thing is, but think of this as the USB end on a printer. So this is just a printer cable, and that plugs in straight into the USB socket right here, and you can use this Lightning to USB adapter, which is a camera. This is a generic camera connection kit that I got off of Amazon, and it works just fine. Or you can also pick up this one. This is the Apple official camera connection kit. Theoretically, you can play and charge while using it this way because it's got an extra socket in there, but you're going to have to go off of a different device, like a power bank of some sort that has a little bit more juice than what this can output, because I've tried connecting this into that to keep this charging while playing, and it didn't work for me. There wasn't enough juice for the iPad. Again, if you're using an Android device, your mileage may vary if you're using one that has an input for power and the USB, but as far as what I have been trying, this hasn't been able to play and charge with the internal charger. So, let me switch back to the generic one, and then we'll get to the program. And there we are, reconnected with the generic version of the OTG cable for Apple devices. Now, this is DJ Player. Yeah, it's just a generic sounding name. It's just called DJ Player, and that's the one that they recommend for the Party Mix Pro. And unfortunately, it probably would be better in the hands of someone that's a little bit more experienced or knows the program a little bit better. But as far as I can tell, I haven't been able to figure out how to use it. It's just kind of, maybe it's so simple that it's complicated, but it does seem to work with, as you can see down there, the crossfader is moving along with the crossfader here. And then you have, as you can see right there, if you turn up and down the volume slider, that goes up and down. And let's see, this guy, that one also works. So all your MIDI controls work, and in this program your pad functions do work. So it actually tells you right there: Q pad mode, loop pad mode, stems pad mode, and then back to FX. Oh, so that's got an extra pad mode, so all of them are lit up, and I guess you can trigger hot cue, you just hot trigger effects on this using the pads. And then we're back to just cue mode, so we can just cue up different cue points. So let's try. Pressing 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, they've already gone to the cue, so it seems to be working. But again, this program is kind of hard to wrap your head around. There's not really, I guess it just doesn't baby you through everything like the way other programs do. Maybe that's a fault of mine or whatever, but I find it hard to use. But this is the program that it natively supports, and I don't know if I like it, to be honest. Also, the jog wheels are super sensitive. And if you do it that way, it does nothing. So you have to put it in scratch mode in order to get anything out of it. And let's turn it down, and let's see if we get anything out of it. And of course, it's always asking you that this is a free trial. If you're hooking up a MIDI controller to it, it's just saying that you have a free trial, which is really, really annoying. So just on that basis alone, like I said, this program could be capable in someone better than I, but as far as I can tell, this program is kind of bleh. It's not that great. But Again, benefit of the doubt. This could be better in someone else's hands, or I'm probably not using it right, but this program is kind of hard to understand for me, myself, personally. Okay, and just for posterity's sake, that's what the app looks like. That's recommended for the Party Mix Pro. It's just DJ Player Pro, and technically they don't even give you the full version to use with this. They keep asking you to upgrade. That it's just a trial or whatever. It's not something that I would use on a daily basis. So let's go to something a little bit more familiar. Unfortunately, these next two apps that I'm going to show you aren't on the App Store market anymore. They've been replaced by the new version of DJ, but if any of you are out there that still have the old version loaded onto your iPads, this is for you. So I actually mapped this to DJ and actually made it trigger that cool animation when you're using it in DJ2. So it recognizes that it's a Numark product. And as far as that, everything works. Your crossfader works, pitch sliders work fine. As you can see on the screen, when I move the Deck 2 volume slider, it all works. Your master everything is functional. So if I hit the load button, let's see, let's try something else. That's one thing that I don't like about this about the Party Mix Pro is that this tablet holder is kind of one size fits all. Excuse me. It's kind of one size fits all, and it kind of holds it at it has a little bit of an angle to it. That doesn't really bother me that much, but as you can see, it kind of covers up the bottom of it. So if you try to slide your finger down in there to choose albums, artists, songs, or whatever, to flip through your different tabs, it's not going to let you that easily. You're going to have to lift the tablet up and click what you want to see. But fortunately, I had something loaded as a playlist, so I'll just choose from that. So by just twisting this, it brings everything up, and by clicking in, oh yeah, so it selects whatever deck that you're using. Cool. So everything's been mapped one-to-one. Like I said, the pads are locked into hot cues only, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to figure out how to map this guy. But as far as that goes, all the LED lights are mapped in, so your play, pause, your sync, and everything works. So let's give a demonstration here. Just press play here. Lights up green. Your cue is there, and if I wanted to sync up with that other track, sync works, so all the lights turn on correspondingly. Let's put this, actually I can just use the slider here. Bring it back to center. And yeah, it all works, functions just fine. So that's just DJ2, so we're just going to stop that. Old version of the app. Let's go to DJ Pro. And as far as I know, detach that, plug this back in. I think DJ2 is the only one that does the fancy animations that tells you what kind of controller you're using. So if I plugged in the Numark MixTrack Pro or this Numark, it'd say Numark on the screen like it showed before in DJ2. And in DJ2, if you plugged in the Philips M1X, it would come up with the M1X logo. But, you know, it's just gimmicky stuff that's just not found in the Pro version because it's Pro. It's trying to be Surus. But everything works. As you can see, the low knob works, treble knob works. So to work mid, you'd have to use your finger. Gain, I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually working the gain knob there. Q mix, everything works. It's just like I said, it's the same map for DJ2 and DJ Pro as it all works. Let's see, let's just load something to make it work. Let's see, yeah, we don't want Spotify. Let's see, we'll go back to my music. Let's try that one. So, despite it not having touch detection, the way DJ handles it is really good. There's actually a mapping function that's in there when you're mapping this to DJ that says, do the jog wheels have touch control? If you click yes or no, then if you click no, it'll treat them a little bit differently. But just to show you what these can do, so I'll turn up the master a little bit. So that's in scratch mode. It just, I don't really use these for scratching. I just like to use the scratch mode to search inside of a track. Now if you click the scratch button, it becomes a nudge control, so you can nudge it forward or backward. So that's what that does, and God, I'm gonna miss DJ Pro. Wish they hadn't discontinued it. Well, let's see. So we know that the older two apps work, but how about the new DJ? Yes, we want 2 decks. Go back to that mode, and we'll load something in here. Hopefully something without copyright strikes. We'll just do Kid Goku like we did on the last couple. Actually sounds good slowed down. So that's basically it. Everything functions, but as far as like hot cues, this is one thing I'm probably going to have to edit, or you can edit with the new version of DJ if you have the Pro version. If you do the subscription, is you could probably map this pad mode so it can be like a controller shift button, so it can delete your hot cues, because at the moment you can add cue points, but you can't delete them unless you go into the, into the software and do it yourself. Like you'd have to see. That's another thing. Since these aren't touch sensitive, if you nudge them just a little bit, it stops your track dead in its tracks. Pardon the pun. But as far as editing cue points, you'd have to go into here, click the cue point button, click the pencil to edit it, and then delete your cue points. Which is kind of annoying. I kind of wish you could just hold this and do it like the Gemini Mix to Go, how I mapped that one, but again, that's semantics. I can go in there and change it once I figure out how to do it. I'm no means a pro at mapping anything. I just basically mapped this like if I would, the stock mapping would work, but it's still missing the functionality of this one because I got to figure out how to map that. But as far as that goes, that's basically the Mix to Go. No, this is the Numark Party Mix Pro. It's all right. It's a little bit convoluted. It is the most powerful of the three. It has more. It has a more bass. It's a little bit louder than the other two. It's got more. It's more platform agnostic. So basically, this is your general MIDI controller. If you plug this into Virtual DJ, it's automatically recognized because it's mapped from the factory in there. You could probably map this to Tractor if you so wish to, if you have a computer. You can. That's another thing too. You can use this with PCs. If you want to hook this up to a computer, you can, because this is just a normal printer plug and then just a USB end. So say if you had a Microsoft Surface and you want to slap it in here with a copy of Virtual DJ or something like that, or maybe a copy of DJ Pro for Windows, it would work. So that's the beauty of this, is that, you know, it's all the thing. But I mean, the downside is you can totally tell that Numark kind of slapped this together just to have an answer for all the other portable DJ setups that are coming out. But as far as I know, it's just the three that have hit the market. Nothing else that's like this in this category has hit the market. So these three stand alone until another player wants to enter the field and a new challenger starts approaching, and a la Smash Bros, and comes in and puts a new spin on this really small niche that is portable DJ setups. I mean, there's no one way of doing this. This is just the easier way of just having everything self-contained into one product. But I will be posting up different ways on how you can do portable DJ on the go that's just completely battery powered. And my next video probably will be the Pioneer WeGo 4, which I do own, and how you can make and probably after that, how you can make a battery pack for it. But that's basically it for the Numark Party Mix Pro. This is Radio Raccoon signing out. Have a good one.